So student loans and debt as a whole stopped me from buying a home when I felt like I was ready, when in truth, I wasn't ready because my debt to income ratio was so high. But anyway, I persevered. I'm on the other side. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how I went from struggling, i.e. not broke, but right above broke, to being financially free, and how I paid off over $75,000 in student loan debt in less than 2 years. So let's talk about what I did in particular. So hopefully you get some ideas that will help you to get your affairs in order as well. So number one is that I moved back home. I moved back in with my family, and that was very hard because I am INDEPENDENT. I like calling my own shot. I like not having to answer to anybody. And so moving back home, yeah, my mom was kind of flex, but like I had to kind of let her know what I was doing at all times, and that just got very annoying. But I saw the bigger picture because it's like, okay, I'm in her house, like I'm gonna have to abide by her rules, even though I had been living on my own for years at that point. But I knew the sacrifice was worth it. So if you don't have someone else to go move in with, maybe consider how you can lower your living expenses. And when I say that, I mean your rent. If that means maybe getting a roommate, maybe renting out your other room if you have it, moving and downsizing, like doing what you have to do to get to where you want to be. It's a big sacrifice, which is why that one is number one. All the other stuff was big too. But if you're like me and you like your space, you like your privacy, you like your freedom, like knowing that you're going to be giving it up for a bigger goal just helps you want to attain the goal quicker. Like I said, I gave myself 2 years to make it happen. I did it in 1 year and 8 months. So just knowing that it's going to take a little adjustment, but it'll be worth it. And it's so funny because I have a good friend who I went to college with who literally is doing the same thing right now. And she was like, when you did it, I realized that like I could do it too. So she's paying off her student loans back at home with her parents. And I'm so proud of her, you know, because she's like me. We be living our best lives in our wonderful homes, but we know that there's a bigger picture. And so she took that step, and I'm very proud of her. 2 is that I listed out all of my debts, and I prioritized what I wanted to tackle first based on the interest rate. So anything with a super high interest rate, which was mostly my private loans, I started with those first because I was ultimately going to be paying more over time on them because there was a higher interest rate. So I think they call that the debt avalanche method, which is where you tackle the high interest first. Or is it debt snowfall? I don't know. I'm gonna put that, which one is on the screen. I confused the two. But the other one is the debt snowfall method. And that's when you start with the lowest amount of debt first, just so that you can see some traction. And you know, if you like to just see progress quicker, that may work for you. For me, I like to see balances drop quicker. So like, yeah, it may take me a little time to pay off the high interest, but I know that once I knock out this 6% interest rate, I'm gonna have a lot less to do, you know. So that worked for me. You just gotta kind of know where your motivation lies. And for me, like the small little adjustments didn't matter. I needed to see massive change. Like that's just the kind of person that I am too. Even with weight loss and all of that, like just give me the drastic results, okay? Like that's what I'm into. So you gotta understand how you're motivated, because those small and steady movements may work for you. For me personally, no, I needed to see some drastic changes. So that's point 2. Point 3 is to make additional payments on your loans. And I did that 2, sometimes 3 times a month. We know that it's due every month, but because I had less in my living expenses, a lot of my money was going towards these student loans. So I would be making 2 to 3 payments a month, just to see the big traction and to see the balance continue to decrease, you know. So that was very helpful. And some people feel like, you know, I should only make 1 payment. and spread it out. But for me, making multiple payments allowed me to see those drastic decreases much quicker. Which leads me to point 4 is I didn't just make those payments online. One of them I did make online, and that was, the regular monthly payment. But all the additional payments that I made, I called them in. I called, Sally back then, I think it's Navient now, Sally Mae, because I didn't want it to be applied to the interest, because the interest is benefiting them. The principal is what's benefiting me. So I would call after I made that regular payment online, which everybody makes monthly. I would call in the additional payments and I would apply them to the principal only, because that's how you see the drastic decreases. That's how you see the amount that you are responsible for decreasing, because the interest is really money in the bank's pockets. That doesn't benefit you. That's the money you're paying back for them letting you borrow their money, basically. So I will call in and make those additional payments and be specific about applying them to the principal. And usually they'll send like an email receipt, but I can always just log in and see the additional payment on the portal as well, just to make sure it's applied to the right place. But the amount will also drop. So you have 3 ways to kind of determine that. Point 5 is that I separated my money according to my goals. So my lifestyle had changed. The old me just had a checking account and a savings account. Like, that was it. But once I was serious about paying off my debt, I said, okay, I need to have one account where all of my bills are. And my bills at that point were very low. Like, I had just paid off my car note, I was paying my student loans, and then I didn't have like electric and none of that, because everything was in my mom's name. So I just would pay her a small amount in rent every month. So those are all outgoing expenses that were required, and gas and food and stuff like that, obviously. And then my savings, I opened a high yield savings account, which is what I still have to this day. And I kept my money there because I needed my emergency savings to be somewhere, and I also started a house fund. So I technically had 2 savings accounts, because I knew once I was done with all this, I wanted to buy my house. So I had 2 separate savings accounts, and the emergency savings was just for my, actually the emergency savings wasn't in my high yield. My house fund is what prompted the high yield savings accounts, because I knew that I was spending a little and I was going to increase it over time. So I'm like, give me whatever you can get. And eventually I moved everything into the emergency savings, into the high yield savings after that. And then I also created 2 additional accounts. One was a fund money account. So at this point we had 3. I had my checking account, which handled all of my outgoing expenses that were recurring. I had my savings account, which was for my emergency savings, but also my house fund. So that was 3 accounts. And then I also opened a fund money account, which was a checking account that I wasn't even using. But I got that tip from the Budgetnista, is to assign your money a responsibility and make sure your accounts reflected that. So my fund money account was basically about like $200 out of every check that I would automate from my direct deposit. And once that money was gone, I couldn't do anything fun. Like, it was literally a cap to show me that, like, hey, we can enjoy life, but not too much, because if you spend more, then you're going to be in this house for longer, and your loans ain't going to get paid off, and you have to leave here with paid off loans. So it worked for me. It was very strict, but I just know how I am. Like, I would end up going out to eat if I had a rough day, or I'll go get drinks, or I'll stop by Ross after the gym and buy some stuff that I didn't need. So I just needed structure, and I needed to be strategic, and I needed to be hard on myself, because that's the only way it will work. And it worked. And I did it for a year and 8 months. Some months didn't work that well, but I would always bounce back, and it worked because clearly I paid it off ahead of time. So structuring my accounts to fit my money goals really, really helped. And I actually still use that to this day. It's not as strict, because I'm obviously accomplished the goal of homeowning and paying off my debt. But I'm getting ready to purchase another property if the Lord says the same. So I have a separate account for that, and that only. And then point 6 is that I shared my goals with my family, close family, and close friends. Everybody didn't need to know everything, because it's just not y'all business, number 1. And number 2, it's like I needed the people that were around me the most to know that, listen, I'm getting ready to go through a lifestyle shift. It's temporary, so don't invite me. Don't invite me on the trips. Don't invite me to dinner all the time unless you're planning on paying. And sometimes they would pay, not for the trips. But like, let's say my friend wanted to go wine tasting and I already had let her know, like, hey girl, like I've already exhausted my $200 to my next check. She'd be like, okay, it's fine, like I'll cover it. So like every once in a while they'll do that. And I was very appreciative because they understood my goal. And they supported it. So, you know, it kind of worked itself out. But you will know who in your life you want to share that with. It's people that really will have a direct impact on you, you know, because they will push you when you want to give up. I have wanted to give up on that journey plenty of times. Like I had started applying for jobs again back in DC because I was like, you know what, I'm over this. Everybody else is living with that. I'm gonna live with that too. My friends was like, no girl, like stay focused, like do not give up. And so I was just thankful for them because they will lift you up when you feel like you want to give up. So those are my 6 tips. Just to recap, number 1, I moved back home to get rid of the biggest expense, which was my rent back then. 2 was I listed all of my debts in order of interest rates. So the highest ones were the ones that I tackled first. 3 is that I made double, sometimes triple payments a month. And 4 is I would call in those payments and have them applied specifically to the principal. 5 is that I would separate my money based on my goals and then created accounts that supported those goals. And then 6 is that I informed my close family and friends of my goals so that they could support me when I wanted to give up. And then sometimes they would treat me just to keep me on the right path. So if you are interested in paying off your debt and you want to create a strategy, maybe you need a little help, maybe there's nobody around that you can talk to, I do offer one-on-one personal finance sessions where we could talk about paying off debt, we could talk about passive income, we could talk about buying a house, like whatever your area of topic is, we will create a strategy together so that you feel confident and you actually have actionable steps that you can take to actually accomplish whatever your big goal is. So the link to book that is in the description. It's only $50 and it's usually an hour, but they often go over because I'm really passionate about this and I'm passionate about helping you guys gain that transformation that you're seeking that you may just feel stuck around. So that is linked in the description, but let me know if you have any questions below. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.